Hey, Tom Burton here again with Brandon Lee and Arlene Lands from Dealer One Stop. Arlene, welcome back and looking forward to some more insightful information today.
Thanks. So happy to be back.
So, we're here today to talk about three things that can really improve a dealer's customer satisfaction index, or what's also known as CSI.
Yep, exactly. Those CSI scores, they are one of the most thought of, heavily considered things in a dealership. So very important to our customers. And yeah, I've got three main categories. So I'll just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Some of them are pretty common sense, self-explanatory. The first one is cleanliness. This is so relevant, so important, especially after the few years of COVID. It's, you just want to walk into a dealership and it almost is something that they shouldn't think of, right? If it's a clean dealership, it won't even cross their mind. So cleanliness, pretty self-explanatory. Some other things that we've noticed some dealerships do that actually do get noticed and kind of take this to the next step would be the fragrance. They have deodorizers. So the scent of a dealership is something that you can add and is a little bit memorable.
Does it smell like a new car?
You could have that scent. Yeah, that's pretty funny. And so, yeah, that's one option. And then, yeah, I guess back to the just general cleanliness. Like when you walk into a bathroom, the bathroom is a very important place to show good cleanliness. There are some things that we've noticed are maybe overlooked that can help ensure satisfactory cleanliness. So one example is, the soap dispensers when you go into a bathroom. If they are stocked with the self-enclosed bags of soap that get thrown away, that's one way to make sure that those stay really clean. We've actually heard from customer feedback that when you have the open dispensers with the refillable soap, sometimes those can get dirty and they can actually get kind of gross over time, changing the color of the soap, and you'll see different colored soaps in a bathroom and some green, like funky looking soap. It's yeah, not a good thing.
I can see my wife going through this checklist. Like those are things that she keys on it, and it's a big deal. Like,
yeah,
you want to go somewhere, and I think what you said at the beginning totally makes sense, which is these are things that should not even be thought of, which means as a dealership or as the company, you need to be thinking about these so your customers never even consider it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think there's some real nuance here, right? Too, just like the soap dispenser you're talking about is like I never would have thought of that, but that's why they make those individual packets so that it doesn't get flies and other sort of gross things in the soap dispenser.
Yeah. It's not super fun to think about, but exactly what you just said, Brandon, your wife probably doesn't come home and tell you about a super clean dealership she walked into. It would be, guess, listen to this gross one that I walked into. So.
Yeah, and we've actually had that experience. It was dropping off a car for service where she said, "Oh, I'm just going to stay," and ended up calling me saying, "Hey, do you actually want to come pick me up? I don't want to sit here for 2 hours. It's gross."
Yeah. Yep. And that's another important area too, the customer lounge. So yeah. Which actually kind of leads me to my next one, which is it's a little different than cleanliness, but keeping your dealership fully stocked. So that customer lounge is really one of those super important areas. You want to make sure if you have coffee, that the coffee stays hot, that you keep it refilled, you keep an eye on it, you keep the snacks stocked, you don't have any food that's left out, maybe everything's pre-wrapped. I guess it's going back to the cleanliness a little bit, but just being mindful of if you have utensils, keeping them wrapped. And so, yeah, just making sure that everything's fully stocked. There's nothing that looks empty or missing.
Question for you, and as you bring this up, right? I was at the dealer where I take our car for service. And it was the first time I had been there after COVID. And I noticed it was a lot cleaner and just a lot crisper, I guess. Just everything do you believe that that's, that people are more aware of that now post-COVID? And does that really, and when you see that sort of less than perfect example, does it jump out or get spotlighted a bit more?
I I absolutely think that. Yeah. And I think we've seen some things that have just stuck around and have become maybe habits over the last few years for a lot of people. And now if it's missing, they miss it. Like I still go places and I see the little metal thing on the bottom of the door so you can open it with your foot instead of having to grab a handle. And I personally really enjoy that. I'd like to not have to touch a dirty door handle if I don't have to. That's probably specific to me, maybe, but I think what you said rings true. Is everybody's standards for cleanliness got a little bit higher, and I think that's what they look for now as part of the customer experience. So
yeah, and I would imagine too, Arlene, and tell me if this is accurate for dealerships, is that in a world where everything is reviewed, right? You have Google reviews, you have other review sites. We got to limit the opportunities for somebody to have a bad experience, because people aren't scared to go on and review and say, this is the bad experience. In fact, I think the bad experience tends to get people to go to a review site quicker than the good experience. So we just really need to eliminate those opportunities for negative reviews.
absolutely, yep. And the same theory applies to CSI scores, the customer satisfaction index. That the bad things are sometimes the more memorable ones.
So what's the third one?
Yeah. So the third one is another somewhat common sense one, but basically just having happy, good staff. So, we have some things that we've seen that help, retain employees better, help keep them happier. And the ways that this then translate to CSI scores is super positive, right? So happy staff, they'll, just be more inclined to treat a customer better. A big thing that we hear a lot is people will call dealerships and the phone will just keep ringing, so making sure your staff is answering the phones when people call. Again, simple and common sense, but just keeping your word to your customers. So if you say the car will be done in a week with service, trying to hold to that timeline. And if something changes, making sure you let the customer know. So it's kind of convoluted, but happy staff kind of helps make sure that these finer details, get seen all the way through.
Happy staff, happy customer.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess part of keeping that happy staff is, I mentioned keeping the customer lounge stocked, but keeping your break room stocked, making sure that your employees have access to refreshments and things that will just keep them going throughout the day. It's not always possible, but when it is possible, having a customer lounge that's separate from an employee break room, we've seen that that's really positive, to have a space for employees to go and kind of take 10 minutes if they need to just recharge, refresh, and then go back out to a customer facing role and have that positive, happy face on. I guess this is kind of unrelated, but it's just a story maybe for people to look out for. I was just in a dealership and heard that one of the service department, they got a bunch of pizzas in, and they opened the pizza boxes, and inside was actually a letter from a different dealership trying to recruit them. So it was sneaky, but right now, especially, people are really looking for good staff. It's very important, more than ever, to do what you can to keep them happy, to retain your employees, and continue to give that good experience to the customer.
Well, these are amazing points. I know I'm never going to walk into my car dealer the same and look around the same. So thank you, Arlene. But yeah, these are excellent ways to increase that CSI score.
Thanks for having me.